on in, y'all. Come on in. Come on in. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Freight Trapping Podcast. You guys, please forgive my voice. Today was our church anniversary, and and look here, when you have a church anniversary and they decide to take it back one time, back to, you know, where you were, where you introduced to a higher power, man, we had a good time. I wish I could have came home and just slept on it, but I had to. I do this every Sunday, whether it just be for 15 to 20 minutes. I put something in and I put something down, and pertaining to trucking, we talk about sports. We talk about everything going on in transportation. Good evening, Charles. Instagram, I'm on, but I'm also watching my YouTube page. So my YouTube follows, I'm on Instagram. We doing both of the things, so we going back and forth. So I might be looking at you, maybe looking at Instagram, maybe looking here, maybe watch. I even got the game on over here because it is football season, and I do understand. What up, Charles? What's up? What up, Charles, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you in the chat. Man, Charles was a student of, I think he took my wife's class, and man, him and his brother, I think they're building something. Anything great takes time. Anything great takes time. And so you build and build and build on what you want your legacy to be, or what you're trying to build as a legacy in this transportation. And so tonight, what we're going to be talking about, hopefully my man Stephen Butler, I see him on Instagram. Hope he come on in. What we're going to be talking about ELDT, the new law that's going to be coming in, enacted, becoming in effect as of February of 2022. We're going to go deep into that. We're going to talk about that. I have some other things that I'm going to just touch on when it comes down to trucking. Some little subtopics, and my special guest of the podcast, I hope he comes in. He's going to have, he's going to give his take on everything, what he think, what's going on. He's going to have some questions. So you guys can come in. You guys can come in and ask questions. You guys can come in and give your opinions. You guys can come in and see where we are. Like I said, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna do this real quick, and I always do this. So let me real quick reset the podcast. We've just started doing this on Instagram on the page. So let me reset the podcast real quick. My wife and I started the podcast last year, almost a year now, and she talked me into it. And the reason why she talked me into it was because she had began, before that, she had began mentoring and doing things. And so, fast forward, I got into the podcast. I got into talking about transportation on here because I wanted to bring trucker story. I wanted to bring success, failures. I wanted to bring everything that we as truckers go through to a channel. Not saying that nobody else does it. Everybody have their own different way of doing it. So at the end of the day, I have my own different way of giving it to you. I've been in transportation for almost 20 years. I got into transportation after I did a stint behind bars. I got out. That was way back in 2003 when I came home. By 2004, I had my CDL. I was working in shipping and receiving, and I learned about shipping and receiving. I had my CDL, but I learned the shipping and receiving side of it. Then I began to drive trucks. I understood what BOLs looked like. I understood what paperwork looked like. I started out running containers. And for me, that was containers are always easy to gain experience in because they're always looking for drivers, and the pay is it's a living, but you're not going to get what you think you should get as a driver driving containers. Because I didn't like it because it's a hustle. You have to hustle in that container field. So moving forward, I worked my way up. I did my thing. And I think that while I was driving over the road for 12 years, 13 years, if I would have known, or if this would have been, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the YouTube, if that would have been going on, I still probably wouldn't have done it. My wife pushed me into this. But I talk so much. I talk a lot. And when I talk to her, I think she got tired of hearing me talk. I think she got tired of hearing me talk. So she said, I got a way to get this guy out of my ear and just let him ramble. Yeah. And just let him ramble. And he could talk all he want, and nobody's there to tell him to shut up. And if they do, it doesn't matter because I don't know you. So guess what? What you say to me and what you say, how you feel about my opinion, because this is an opinionated podcast. If anybody comes on here, this is our opinion. This is our experience of how transportation has helped, benefit, and some of the downfalls of the transportation game. So at the end of the day, this is a trucker's podcast. This is your story, the way you want to tell it, from A to Z. If you want to go A to M, A to P, A to whatever, give it to it how you want. Give it to us how you want to give it to us. But I want to hear your story. I do. I want to hear your story because I think every trucker story is unique in its own way, and it has value. It has value. So, and then I'm big on safety and compliance. That's why I kind of keep my ear to the ground and I listen to people on YouTube about the laws that's coming into effect. I don't catch every law. Just like most of the guys, they get the wire, they look at the news, they get the feeds that come through from Trucker News and all the other associated trucking news sources, and we put them in our own words the way that somebody in a truck somewhere will say, oh, I get it now. You see, somebody's voice will always be able to get through to somebody. That's why it doesn't matter who has what, does what, or whatever the case may be on YouTube, on Instagram. It doesn't matter, because your voice not made for everybody. Your stories is not made for everybody, but it's made for somebody. All right? So that's why we started this podcast. That's why we started it. We're just here to give out information, to give out nuggets, to give out experiences, to give out things that we can do over. But you also, it is a business. It is a business. We have an academy. It's a business. So at the end of the day, I do give advice. I do talk. People pose questions. I ask. I just don't do training on YouTube. This is not the place for me to train you. I do specialized training. And what I mean by specialized training, I do one-on-ones, because everybody's not going to pick it up at the same speed. And then somebody will pick it up that much quicker if they got one-on-one. I almost try to tailor my training to your lifestyle, because most people that are getting into trucking are coming out of another career. So that means that they still need to work their career until they get this career up and running and certified, meaning get your CDL. So that's what I do. I also, and the reason why I say it's specialized, because I also specialize in teaching on-the-job training, quote, almost like all on-the-job training, when it comes down to helping you find your equipment if you're starting a business, helping you find all of your equipment if you're running a flatbed, helping you find all of your equipment if you're running a reefer, if you're running a van, help you find all of your equipment if you're doing oversized loads and you're out and you're using an RPG. I'll help you finding all of your equipment if you're trying to learn how to unload and load a tanker. I have experience in all of that. And so what I do is I offer specialized training. But the majority of the specialized training I offer is one-on-one in truck and classroom education. Because the more and more people break down a question in a book, the more and more you can retain it. And so that's what we do at the academy. And now that's why we started this podcast. That's why we're in here talking to you guys now. That's why we're on Instagram. That's why we're on YouTube. Go to YouTube and subscribe and like some of the videos. I'm over there live right now. You can watch some of the older videos. That's why we do this. That's why we do this. It's so that we can educate. So that's the reset. So let's get into our topic. So ELDT is what's coming up. It's what's going on as of February 2022. Let me know. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to use Toe Piglet is the name on YouTube. I ran across his I'm subscribed to his page. Toe Piglet is the name of the podcast or his channel, whatever it is. It's called Toe Piglet. And so he has some great information on the ELDT, which I had already read about. But sometimes I like to find people who, have sat down and read it off and all of that kind of stuff. Oh, okay. Quick update. Dallas 20, New England 21. New England 21. Quick update. Okay, it's sports night. I got to do that. I'm sorry. Y'all forgive me. Quick sports update. So, and if I look that way, that's because that's where the TV at. So, I am going to see if you guys can hear this. I'm using this for educational purposes only. We're going to dissect it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to move through it because I did the basics. I ended the basics on last week. I thought it was important to let you guys know about the basics. I got videos on it. You can go to the YouTube page and look at it. If you have any questions, you can email me at the freight trapping at the freight trapping at gmail.com, and I'll email you back and answer your questions. So let me see. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Give me a thumbs up, wave at me, or do something. So let's see if you guys can hear this.
Talking about this law, the ELDT. Now, I've mentioned in a couple of my videos, hey, make sure you get your CDL or else you got to go to school before February of 2022. And you guys keep asking me, Alex, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And, well, this is what I'm talking about, okay? So
can you guys hear that? I know that sometimes Instagram you can't hear that, but what about you, Charles? Can you hear it? Okay, good deal, Charles. Appreciate you. I don't know about on Instagram, but if you guys can't hear, like I said, go over to the YouTube page. We're on there live. We're doing the same thing over there we're doing here. I'm going to sign off from here pretty soon because they're going to time me out. So wish you guys will go over to the YouTube channel, and so we're gonna go back into this. I just wanted to make sure we can hear it. So let's listen to a little bit of this. Nope, not that one. Let's listen to a little bit of this, and once again, this is Toe Piglet over on YouTube.
So we're going to dive deep right into it, what it is, what it requires, and why you should definitely get your CDL ASAP, or I mean at least before February of 2022. Just a quick side note though, if you're wondering, Alex, why is your table right next to your bed in this hotel
I'm going to skip
room?
over that.
So that the sun, or from the window, the light, the transportation industry, when it comes to looking up federal regulation in the transportation industry, is your ECFR. That stands for Electronic Code of Federal Regulation, or Electronic Code Federal Regulation. They just sneak it.
Electronic Code of Federation.
Oven there. So, Electronic Code of Federal Regulation, Title 49, Subtitle B, Chapter 3, Subchapter.
I'm gonna rewind it one more time so you guys can hear.
They just sneak an oven there. So, Electronic Code of Federal Regulation, Title 49, Subtitle B, Chapter 3, Subchapter B, Part 380. That's
So I'm gonna just read that off for you guys. It's the Electronic Federal Code of Regulations, ECFR. Title 49, Subtitle B, Chapter 3, Chapter B, Part 380. I'm sorry. Part 380. And this says special training requirements. This is what this whole ELD is falling under. That's what the whole ELD is falling under. And he's going to go in and he's going to let you guys kind of break it down, and then I'll go behind him just to break it down a little bit more into applesauce so that we can get it. Let's go.
That's exactly what we're talking about right now. Now you want to scroll down to right here, subpart F. It says entry-level driver training requirements on and after February 7th, 2020. That is correct. I did say 2020 because it was supposed to go into effect on 2020.
Okay, once again, like he said, it was supposed to go into effect. I said July. That was my bad. He said it was supposed to go into effect February of 2020. And we all know that COVID-19 pushed everything back. It pushed everything back. So they granted some relief. They granted a reprieve on that bill. And so now, instead of February of 2020, they pushed it back to February of 2022. So that's what he's talking about right now, and he's going into it.
But then they delayed it to 2022. So let's get into the nitty gritty details. First and foremost, this ELDT, what the heck is it? And so right here in subpart F, like I mentioned, and we're in section 380-601, which is purpose and scope, right? The purpose of ELDT essentially establishes training requirements for entry-level drivers as defined by this subpart and minimum content theory and behind-the-wheel training curriculum.
Okay, let's stop right there. Minimum, it says that this part, it says that this subpart establishes training requirements for entry-level drivers, meaning you're coming from one career into transportation, never had a CDL. You're coming into transportation fresh out of jail, school, fresh off your mama couch, fresh out the shower, whatever. Your entry level. So entry level drivers. Wow. Oh, I'm watching that game, man. Wow. That Dallas and New England, that's turning out to be a good game. Sidebar. That's turning out to be a good game. Man, Trayvon Diggs had a pick 6 for 7. Now Matt Jones just came back and burned him for 7. He had a pick 6 for 7. Then he got burned for 7. Wow. I didn't believe in Matt Jones. Matt Jones got something. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled program. Training requirements for entry-level drivers as defined in this subpart, entry-level being keyword, and minimum content for theory and behind-the-wheel training curricula. Entry-level driving training as defined in this subpart applies only to those individuals who apply for a commercial driver's license. So, when they say minimum content theory, meaning you're going in and you're getting some book knowledge. Basically, what it is you're going in, you're taking your test, you're getting your CLP, and that's the only way you can get your CLP is if you pass the written portion of your CDLs or getting ready, starting the process of getting your CDLs. First, you have to get your CLP before you can even do behind the wheel training. So you have to do a minimum content for theory. So you have to do a minimum content for book knowledge, of learned book knowledge. First, you got to read and know what you're finna do with your CDL, or not with your CDL behind the wheel. First, you got to know what you're dealing with, what type of machine. First, you got to read how the machine works. That's minimum content theory. That's minimum content theory. Let's continue.
So the next question might be, well, Alex, who does this apply to? Okay, scroll down to applicability. The rule in this subpart applies to all entry-level drivers as defined in this subpart who intend to drive a commercial motor vehicle, whether it's interstate or intrastate for commerce. Now, the important part is who this doesn't apply to. Right here it says except, and so one doesn't apply. It says right here, drivers applying for restricted CDL under 383, doesn't matter. Veterans with military CMV experience who meet all requirements.
All right, so let's go back a little bit. Let's go back just a little bit. Let's just go back to a little bit.
And so one doesn't apply. It says right here, drivers applying for restricted CDL under 383, entry-level drivers as defined by this subpart and minimum content theory and behind the wheel training curricula. So the next question might be, well, Alex, who does this apply to? Okay, scroll down to applicability. The rule in this subpart applies to all entry-level drivers as defined in this subpart who intend to drive a commercial motor vehicle, whether it's interstate or intrastate.
So it applies to all entry-level drivers, whether you're driving the city, intrastate, whether you're driving the city, intrastate, whether you're driving in Texas, intrastate, whether you're driving from Houston to Dallas, intrastate, whether you're driving interstate, right? Interstate, meaning you're crossing state lines from Texas into Louisiana, into Oklahoma, into Arkansas, into New Mexico, into El Paso. You're crossing state lines. You are required, if you're coming in on the entry level, you're required to take these classes. Let's continue.
For commerce. Now, the important part is who this doesn't apply to. Right here it says except, and so one doesn't apply. It says right here, drivers applying for restricted CDL under 383, doesn't matter. Veterans with military CMV experience.
So what he's telling you now is those who these classes don't apply to. If drivers applying for a restricted CDL under 383.E of the chapter. So that means that if you're applying for that and it's under and you're applying for it and you're restricted, it's a restricted CDL, it doesn't apply to you. Then he says veterans with military commercial vehicle experience who meet the requirements and conditions of the chapter, it doesn't apply to them. Drivers applying for a removal of a restriction in accordance, it doesn't apply for them. Drivers applying for a removal of a restriction in accordance. That means that if you have a restriction on your license, just say, for instance, when I came in, I only took my test. I never knew about automatics. I thought all trucks were manual, right? So I took my test in a manual. Nowadays, you have automatics. You have you can take your test in an automatic and don't have no restrictions no more. Now you have to if you take your test in an automatic truck, you will be restricted to only driving an automatic truck. So what this says is drivers applying for a removal of a restriction as such. If you apply and you say, man, I got my license back in the day or 2 years ago, and they added a restriction on there because I took it in an automatic. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize I can't drive a manual because I have a restriction on there that I can only drive an automatic. I want to get that off. And it's after February. Guess what? You don't have to take a class to get that off. You don't have to take a class. Why? Because you already have a CDL. You already have a CDL. So all you're doing is saying, hey, I want to get this off. Can I take, I guess, can I take another, do another road test to get this off? Hey, I'm going to sign off the Instagram real quick, you guys. Hold on, YouTube. Hey, holla at you, Instagram. Go check me out on YouTube. Check out the live. Thank you. Have a good one. So with that being said, the removal of restriction in accordance. So that means that you won't have to take the course. So he's just describing everybody who will be exempt from not taking the course. So let's listen to it right now.
And so one doesn't apply. It says right here, drivers applying for restricted CDL under 383, doesn't matter. Veterans with military CMV experience who meet all requirements, doesn't matter. Drivers applying for removal of restrictions, doesn't matter. Right here, section B. Drivers issued a Class A CDL, Class B CDL, or passenger, school bus, or hazardous material endorsement before February 7th of 2022 are not required to comply with this subpart pertaining to the CDL or endorsement. And it actually goes one step further. Individuals who comply with this subpart pertaining to the CDL or endorsement.
So let's break that down. Let's break that down real quick. Drivers, these are everybody who's not required to take the class as of February. These are drivers not required. Drivers issued a Class A CDL, Class B CDL, or a passenger school bus, or hazardous material endorsement before February 7th of 2022, before now, are not required to comply with this subpart pertaining to that CDL or endorsement. So, tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. Before February 7th of 2022, if you already have your CDL, if you are Class A, if you already have your Class B, if you have a passenger or a school bus, or, and now let me break this part down. If you drive a dually, you're doing hot shots, but you don't have a CDL, right? But you don't have a CDL. But you have hazardous endorsement on your license. See, you can get a hazardous endorsement on your license without holding a CDL. You know you can do that, right? You know that, right? Because that's what I tell anybody who I train. Get everything on your license at one time. Don't say, man, I can come back and get. No, take care of everything. Get all the endorsement. So what that means is, if I drive a hot shot, but I don't have a CDL, but I have hazmat endorsement on my license, guess what? I'm exempt from having to have to take a CDL class. According to this, I'm exempt. All you got to do is go get your hazmat endorsement put on your license, and it will exempt you from having to have to take that course. I may be wrong, but that's what I'm reading here. It says drivers issue And again, he was talking about, let's back up. He was talking about things or people who were exempt from having to take the class, which is subpart 380. Let's go back.
Under 383, doesn't matter. Veterans with commercial motor vehicle, whether it's interstate or intrastate for commerce. Now, the important part is who this doesn't apply to. Right here it says except, and so one doesn't apply. It says right here, drive.
See, now you heard him. He said that it doesn't apply to. That means that subpart 380 doesn't apply to these people. Listen, he said doesn't apply to these people. Let's hear.
Drivers applying for restricted CDL under 383, doesn't matter. Veterans with military CMV experience who meet all requirements, doesn't matter. Drivers applying for removal of restrictions, doesn't matter. Right here, section B.
Let me back up. I got y'all some bad information. Those people who are exempt are those drivers applying for a restricted CDL, and also those who are applying for a removal of a restriction. So if you're applying for a restricted CDL, it doesn't apply. If you're going in to remove a restriction, it doesn't apply. Moving on.
Drivers issued a Class A CDL, Class B CDL, or passenger, school bus, or hazardous material endorsement before February 7th of 2022 are not required to comply with this subpart pertaining to the CDL or endorsement. And it actually goes one step further. Individuals who obtain a CLP, which is a commercial license permit, right, before February 7th of 2022 are not required to comply with ELDT if they obtain their CDL before their permit expires, okay? So right here in the law, it specifically says.
So if you get your CLP, basically, that kind of explains itself. If you get your CLP, your commercial license permit, which you get after you pass all of the written portions, after you shown competency in knowing what you're getting yourself into, after knowing about the air brakes and general knowledge and all of that kind of stuff. After you get your CLP, if you get your CLP before February the 7th of 2022, this rule or this subpart 383 will not apply to you. Listen, you got to tell your drivers, you got to tell anybody in your family who's planning on getting your CDL, you need to start the process before February of 2022 so that you can be exempt from having to have to take a course. Let's continue. I'm going to break that down after the video.
As long as you go take the knowledge portion of the test, and the knowledge portion right now is you just walk into your DMV or you walk into any place and you pass the test. And once you do that, you're issued a commercial license permit. And as long as you get your CDL before that permit expires, you don't have to go.
And 9 times out of 10, that CLP expires in 90 days. Unless they give you an extension. When COVID hit, they were giving CLPs extensions because no one could get in and take the driving portion of the test. So they extended CLPs. I think they extended them as far as all the way up to, I think, through this summer or the beginning of the summer or something like that. But they've extended the CLPs.
Go to school or class or whatever this law is putting into effect. So now we know what the law does, which is standardizes training for all new CDL applicants. And we know who's it for, anybody essentially getting a CDL or upgrading their CDL. And we also know who's exempt from it, right? As long as you get your permit before February 7th of 2022 and you pass your CDL before your permit expires, you will be in the clear, not having to take, or the law basically doesn't apply to you. Now, what else does the law do? So another thing of the ELDT is, because there's now standardized training, what does the government have to do? They have to regulate who can provide the training. And so when you scroll down to subpart G, it says Registry of Entry-Level Driver Training Provider. And what this does is it establishes eligibility requirements for listing on FMCSA Training Provider Registry. That's the TPR. To be eligible on the TPR, an entity must follow curriculum that meets applicable criteria set forth in appendices A through E of.
So this where the Grinch who stole Christmas comes out. This is where the Grinch steals Christmas. You may say to yourself, well, I can go down to CDL Express or your local trucking express and get my license. Now, I'm talking about after February 7, 2022. I'm not talking about right now. If you want to do that right now, do it right now. But after February the 7th of 2022, you can no longer walk into CDL Express and go to the DMV and take your driver's test and be good. Unless they've been cleared by TPR, which he just explained, and they've been registered as a certified trainer. Then they can sign off on your certificate. Let me tell you what this reminds me of. So for so long, you could just go into the DMV and take a written test to get your motorcycle license. Then they treated it just like a driver's test. Then you set a appointment and you bring a motorcycle up there with the proper insurance and the proper registration and all of that kind of stuff. And they will take you in and you could pass your test, take the road test, and you good to go. You got your license. Well, I don't know how long now, but I know I took the course maybe 3-4 years ago. After riding around without one, I went ahead and took the motorcycle course because they came up with this same similar restriction or process that you had to go through. And the only reason why I think that they're enacting this is because riding a motorcycle is so dangerous that to allow people just to walk in and say, I taught myself to drive a motorcycle, I taught myself, or my cousin taught me, and I've passed a written test to obtain my motorcycle license. I think they've had so many deaths that were motorcycle related, whether it was their fault or somebody else's fault. I think that made them say, hey, we need to regulate these licenses because too many people are losing their lives. And so what they did was the same thing that he said. Let's get certified people, trainers, to have classes. Certify these guys to ride these motorcycles. And once they certify these guys, All they would have to do then would come in, present your certificate of completion through a certified course that the trainer said you've shown proper knowledge of the book. You've shown proper knowledge of understanding the rules of the road. You've shown proper knowledge of handling a motorcycle safely on a public thoroughfare. You're good to go. And the reason they can sign that certificate is because they are registered trainers to do so. Hence what the gentleman just said. He just said, as long as you are registered with TPR, I'm just giving you an understanding of why they've come up, or maybe my opinion of why they've came up with subpart 380 that will go into effect in February. Is because trucking has become or is a dangerous career. It's dangerous. And so for years, they've allowed us to go in, pass the written test. I remember you could go in and sit down and take an hour or two to pass one part. I remember guys used to go in there and they would take that general knowledge. General knowledge is, if you don't know, general knowledge is the hardest part. It has the most questions. It has the most questions. Not only does it have the most questions, it has more than one test. So general knowledge has almost 6 different tests that when you fail one, you don't take the same test you took. They're going to generate a whole nother test for you to take. So you're not seeing the answers over and over. But eventually, if I sit down and take 4 tests and I fail 4 times, guess what? By the 5th time, I've almost seen all of the questions that's on the test, and I answer them just enough right to pass general knowledge and move on to the easier test. See, that's what they would tell you is take the general knowledge first. It's the hardest. Get it out the way, and then your air brakes and your doubles and your triples and all the rest of your tests, they'll be a cakewalk. Not a cakewalk, but they'll be easy. You might take 2 or 3 chances to pass those. So once you pass that general knowledge, then you come back the next day, you can take air brakes. Then you come back the next day, you can take another part. Then you come back the next day, you can take another part. It's 5 tests you have to pass. And then once you pass those 5 tests, now you have your CLP. Now, once you have your CLP, you can go to a CDL Express and pay $250 to do however many hours they say that you can take. And once they decide, okay, I think you can pass that test, and they go in and take you up there with their truck and allow you to take the driving portion in their truck, and boom, you have your CDL. They're cutting all of that out. All of that's being cut out. So what they're doing is they're getting certified, registered trainers in your state. And once you go through that class and that registered that TPR signs out saying that you're good to go. You've shown knowledge of the minimum required knowledge, book knowledge. You've obtained your CLP. Then you've shown safety and compliance, and you've shown that you can be a safe driver by showing proper maneuvering of the vehicle. So once all of that happens, guess what? They say, I'm going to sign off on your certificate. You completed this course and we're good. Guess what? Guess what? Because he's a certified registered trainer, his word is good enough for us. Now, when you go in there, I don't know if we'll listen to the rest of the video. I don't know if they're going to say, hey, now you went through this course. They say you good. You good. Give me that certificate. I'm going to put it in your file. You've taken a certified registered training course that says that they've trained you and you're good to go. Boom. Okay. Let me process your license. I already have your written test in. Here's your license. But I don't think that's going to happen, because that's how they do with the motorcycles. You're still going to have to do a road test. You're still going to have to do a road test. Like I said, unless they decide that this is good enough, it'll be yet to be talked about. But you're going to have to do something before February the 7th of 2022, or else you're going to have to go through a certified registered training program in order for you to get your CDL. That's plain and simple. Let's push play again.
Part 3 utilizes facilities that meet criteria set forth, utilizes vehicles that meets the criteria, utilizes driver training instructors that meet the criteria. Now think about this, guys. The government is telling a training or a college or a school or a CDL training facility all of these requirements. And because they're telling that you now have to do all of these things, don't you think the price of school is all of a sudden going to go up?
You're late. You're late. I just talked to a student. He said they're already going up. They've already went up. They've already went up. See, let me let y'all in on something. Let me let y'all in on something. Coming to these schools, you have people who have paid, who have sat, and who have went through the training to be certified trainers in this industry. It's not going to be cheap. I'm telling you that now. And it's a hard sell, man, when you tell people think just because they see you doing stuff after 20 years of being in a certain lane or doing something, these people see you cut a corner. Let me tell you a story about last week. I kind of just smiled and was like, man, appreciate it. But I bet we go to this place where you have to turn down, make a left on the street, because they have a side gate that is about 12 feet, no more than 15 feet wide. the trailer of a van, the width of it is 96 inches, which equals almost, 8 feet wide. So you're taking an 8-foot wide trailer and you're trying to back into a 15-foot wide gate. It's a gate. And then you got to take another 6 inches off on the side because it has yellow posts for you not to run into the gate. So the street is narrow, and the best thing about it is you have enough room on the passenger side to swing your truck so that you can jackknife into the gate and then hurry up and straighten back up. You guys don't understand what I'm saying. I'm just talking. I know you don't understand where I'm coming from, but I'm just painting you the picture. So as you begin to maneuver backwards, what happens is you have to cut in the opposite direction that you want your trailer to go in order to jackknife to get your trailer to begin to turn really quick. You have to cut your wheel real hard so they can start moving right now. You can't start going backwards and you just kind of ease into it. No. I need that tail end to move right now. So I got to cut this right now. I got to hit it hard. Boom. Before I even start backing up, I got to hit it hard. Boom. So now that I hit it hard, now I start backing up. So now guess what? My trailer starts to swivel around. And guess why I do that? So that my blind side, that yellow pole on my blind side that I can't see, so that my trailer on that side, I can't see it. So once I started hugging the yellow pole I can see, I know that I'm further away from the pole that I can't see. See, I can work with the pole I can see. I can't work with the pole I can't see. Right? So now my trailer starts to swivel toward the pole I can see. So now I know I'm far away enough from the pole I can't see. I'm not going to hit it because I know I still got about 6 feet away from that pole to work with. So my trailer begins to swivel. So as my trailer begins to swivel and my tail end, as I see it starts to move toward that yellow pole, I begin to straighten my wheel back out. Because now I have my trailer tail where I need it to be. So I start straightening it back out by turning with the trailer. See, you cut your wheel with your trailer when you're trying to straighten it up. Now I need my truck to get back under the trailer. And when you turn with the trailer, your truck starts to get back under the trailer. When I turn against the trailer, it's get from under it, which means that I'm beginning to jackknife. But if I begin to turn with the trailer, guess what? I begin to get back under the trailer, and guess what the trailer does? It begins to straighten back up and no longer doing this. See, at first I was trying to get to the pole, right? Now that I've seen that I'm just enough where I need to be, now I need to get the trailer away from the pole. So once I get my tail end into the fence, into the gate, now I start playing with it. Straighten it up. Then I Curve just a little bit again. Now, I'm not hitting it all the way. I'm just playing with it now, just a little bit. Trailer move. Okay, that's enough. Straighten back up. Trailer move. Okay, that's good. Straighten back up. That's how you play with that trailer. But that's when you know what you're doing. See, that's the kind of stuff that when people see you do that, and it was a car coming, right? It was a car coming. I don't worry about the cars because guess what? I'm going to take my time. They got to wait for me, right? And a car will appreciate you taking your time getting in there the first time rather than you hitting that fence, tearing it up, or you run over something and bust your tire, and now you're stuck over the whole street. They can't even get around you. So they'll wait. They'll wait. So after I get through doing what I need to do, and I got my trailer in there, and they can load me up with no problem, and I'm out of the street, and I'm in there. I'm in the driveway just enough. I stop and apply my emergency brake, pop all my brakes. Two guys roll up. First, they go to the light. I give them the thumbs up. Thank you, man, for waiting. Courtesy. Common courtesy. They get to the light. Then they back up. And I see the one guy. I look at him because I'm always suspicious. I look at him. I turn my. Say, what's up? Look here, man. I'm going to tell you one thing. You know how to drive that thing there. Yeah, buddy, you know how to drive that thing there, man. Do your thing, man. Yes, sir. I say, man, appreciate you, man. Those are the kind of things that make me tap myself on the back when people see that you've taken the time to be cautious and you've taken the time to understand your craft. You've taken the time to be skillful enough not to create problems for the public. See, that's what I teach. And that's what they're trying to get people to go in to these courses. But see, you have people who want to get into trucking who don't know nothing about trucking. Nothing. They want to drop money in the trucking and say, I'm finna go run hot shots. I'm finna go get me a truck and run for Amazon. I'm finna go get me in the truck and go put it in the pipe, in the oil field. But you ain't never drove a truck a day in your life. You don't even know how to maneuver. You know how to drive a dually, but you don't even know how to maneuver the dually with a gooseneck. But then you come to me and say, how much will you charge me to teach me? And then when I do an assessment of you and what you know about the equipment that you're asking me to train you in, you say, I know nothing. You expect me to teach you at the price you want to be taught. Man, do you understand that it costs money to go get trained, to be registered for the state of Texas to say, we recognize you as a certified registered trainer? Do you know that it costs? Do you know what it costs for that? Time and effort. And you want to shortchange a trainer on teaching you? Guess what this ELDT rule is doing? You got to pay me what I asked for. I ain't got to give you no discount. I ain't got to feel sorry for you because you trying to change careers. I ain't got to worry about none of that. Because if you don't pay me, somebody else will. And that's why HCC, Lone Star, and any other registered training facility, even before this, see, they knew this rule was coming. So they went ahead and went up on their prices. Yeah, they knew this rule was coming. They went up on their prices when it was supposed to be in effect in February of 2021. They went up on their prices then. No, February of 2020. They said we gotta go back in and do a market value assessment because of what's finna go on. If the federal government regulates something, and I'm already in position to have everything that they need, guess what? Bruh, I ain't got to show you no love. Because when you go to the next man, it's going to be the same thing. Because I've already did a price assessment of courses and classes and colleges and schools that are offering the same thing I offer. I want to stay competitive, but I also want to be fair. Fair to you and fair to me. Because I still got to pay for licenses that I got to keep upheld. I got to keep renewing. I got to pay for equipment that students come in and they wreck or they chip this or they chip that. My equipment still got to get inspected. And all of that. So guess what? All of that is just part of what's finna go on. So at the end of the day, man, go get your license before February of 2022. But that's just what it is, man. You got to go and get it. And if you don't, I mean, even now, the prices are already set. They're not going up in February. They've already went up. So guess what? You're still dealing with them right now. So, man, just when you go talk to these trainers, and I do specialized training. Meaning that, somebody come in and say, man, I don't know nothing about a truck. I want you to teach me. That's specialized training because now I got the detail of training according to your need. See, HCC ain't finna do that. HCC finna throw you in a classroom full of 20, 25 students and tell you to get it. If you don't get it, I specialize in it because I take my time, I mentor. My wife make me create videos because I kind of drag my feet on that because she's a guru with that. She does that. This is what she do. So she tell me, I need this from you. And guess what? It's a business. I got to get it to her. So it's things that you have personally beyond just being a student when you come to an academy like this. It's tailor-made for you. It's tailor-made for you to win. But then you come in and you want everything on the black market hookup. Can't do black market hookup in this transportation industry. When you start running these loads and a shipper asks you to get hook them up because they doing bad this month. They go, man, you gonna look at them like, man, what? That ain't got nothing to do with me. How you think you feel? How you think I feel, or a trainer feel, or an academy feel, or a school feel when you say, hey man, I need a hookup? What that got to do with me? Now, if you say work with me, yeah, always. That's always a way to work with a student. Always. But why come in and you wouldn't give a shipper a black market hookup, but you want the black market hookup to go in and get your license? Pay for what you want, man. Get the training, get the proper training. Get this stuff under your belt, man, because they're making rules that you are going to have to comply with, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. And then when you do it and you be doing it for years, and somebody roll up on you like that dude, like them two guys rolled up on me or rolled past me or backed up to me, they backed up to say, man, you know how to drive that thing. You know how to drive that thing. That's one thing I can say for you. You know how to drive that thing, partner. I'm telling you, partner, you know how to drive that thing. And guess what I said? Thank you, partner. Appreciate you recognizing that. That made my day. That's like giving me $100 tip. That made my day. Because when people recognize that you take pride in what you do, or what you do means something to you, it means something to me when I bag into a spot and I know it's hard to get into, and I bag into it and I don't tear nothing up. I'd be like, whoo, yeah. It's an adrenaline rush for me. Because I get out and I look. I said, well, I don't know. If I can't get in somewhere, I'm telling you, bro, I can't get in there. No. I don't care who did it before me. Because they'll tell you anything to get their freight off of your truck. And then after they get their freight, they don't care how you get out of there. It ain't their fault. I didn't tell them that. That's why as a driver, you have to get out and look. Assess the whole property. The whole little, what you're going to be going into, what you're going to be coming out of, all of that kind of stuff. You have to make an assessment. Especially if it's been raining and it's gravel or mud on that property. If you get stuck, that's on you. You got to pay a tow truck to come pull you out. So you have to make an assessment that's going to benefit you. And have them to understand, hey, listen, I can't afford to get stuck. I can't afford to get in there and mess your property up. I can't, because you got some people that get mad at you because you went in and jackknife. And when you jackknife, you know your wheels dig into the ground as you're coming around. Some people get mad because you'll create a hole in the gravel. Sir, you told me to come in here. You told me trucks do this all the time, and now you're mad because. So come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all finna go get these licenses. Y'all trying to go make this money. And if you own a company, I wouldn't own a trucking company and didn't know how to drive a truck. I wouldn't own a trucking company. It happens. It happens. And there's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, if something happens and a load needs to be preloaded, or no, a load needs to be delivered, and one of your drivers gets sick or they have an emergency at home, guess what? At least you can get in that truck, go deliver that load, or go pick that load up so that you can have somebody else to go deliver it and take it where it needs to be without losing no money. Ask my boy Steve Calhoun of Calhoun Global Logistics. He an owner, but he also have his CDL. And if need be, he gonna go out there and get it. He gonna go pick the load up. He gonna take it where it need to be, all because he know his drivers are human. They have kids, they have families, and sometimes they just need the day off because they have an emergency. They have an emergency, bruh. So, man, just when y'all go in and y'all want to be in a rush, because we telling y'all to go get y'all stuff right now. People going to wait till the last minute, and then it's going to be a bum rush of trying to go in there and get your CLP so that you won't have to take a certified registered course through the state of Texas. And y'all going to try to rush in there and get this and get that, and you're not going to be able to do it. Or you're going to be mad at the price. You can't be mad at the price. You waited too late. When you procrastinate and you wait too late, that's what happened. You get taxed. You get taxed. But at the end of the day, that's why podcasts like this exist. So we can bring you information that you can use. News you can use. News you can use. So let me let this guy get through. I done rambled long enough. Let's get through listening to Toe Piglet explain the rest of this.
You're absolutely right. It's definitely going to get more expensive. So that's why if you're thinking about getting your CDL, if you drive a hotshot right now and you've been kicking it off or you've been putting it off, please go study and get your CDL before it gets mandatory and really expensive. All right, now let's get into the final section. So when we scroll down to assessments, it says training providers must use written assessments to determine driver trainees' proficiency in knowledge objectives in theory portions of each unit of instructions. The driver trainee must receive an overall minimum score of 80% on theory assessment. Training instructors must evaluate and document a driver trainee's proficiency with BTW skills. BTW is behind the wheel skills, in accordance with the curriculum in appendices A through D. So what that's telling you is you're going to have to do tests and you're going to have the behind the wheel experience. How many hours of training am I required to get now? Like, how long is this stuff going to take, right? And right here it says, when you scroll down to appendix A to part 380, it says right here, there is no required minimum number of instruction hours for theory training, but the training instructor must cover all topics set forth in the curriculum, okay?
So basically what he's saying is, for the theory portion, then I'll let him finish on the other half. For the theory portion, there is no amount of hours. It doesn't say you need 40 hours, 80 hours, 120 hours per the state of Texas. The time it takes for you to get your license and get certified or go through that course, the registered course, the time that it takes for you to go through that course, it all depends on that particular institution, academy, or college that says he's good to go. You go through an academy and a trainer says, okay, let's go. You might be smart as all our doors can retain. Why would I hold you back all because it says that you need so many hours? State of Texas doesn't say you need that many hours. If you pay my fee, or if you pay the fee for whatever academy, institution, or college that you decide to go get your certification from, you pay that, and you can go in there and they can start teaching you the first day. And if you retain everything and you go in and you set yourself an appointment with the DMV and you go in and get your CLP, guess what? You ready to move on. You ready to move into the truck. You know how to do a proper pre-trip. You understand how to do a brake check. You understand how to understand where your logs need to be. You understand where your permit book needs to be. You understand where your bill of lading should be when it comes down to hazmat. You understand that. Oh, I understand everything that goes on in the inside of a truck by reading it. You understand how air brakes operate by reading it. You understand the general knowledge of the portion of it, and you go in and you may be agree out like that. Might take you a week, might take you 2 weeks. I'm not finna sit here and tell you, oh, okay, well, it's gonna be another month. No, man, because I'm certified, and the state of Texas say you're registered through us. When you say somebody's ready, we believe you. So now I tell you, hey man, you good to go. Go get your CLP. Soon as you go get your CLP, we can get in that truck. But if you come back and say, man, I didn't pass the general knowledge. Okay, let's get back in the book. Let's get back in the book. But I can't put you behind the wheel until you get your CLP. I don't care what you do on your off time. You might have a cousin that drive trucks. And I encourage that. If you know somebody that drive trucks and you in my academy to help speed up the process, man, you have to do work outside the classroom. That's even when you're in college. High school, you don't become excellent at schoolwork just by doing the work you have at school. You have to do some work outside the class. So that's all it is. I'm not gonna hold you back. I'm not. If you efficient and you're learning and you're moving, guess what? Let's go. Let's go. And no, I'm not just pushing you out. Nope. No, I'm not. Because remember, I'm safety and compliance. I'm going to give you the real. I'm going to tell you the real. And all of that. And all of that. And I'm gonna put you out my class if you excellent at what you do. But I'm gonna hold you in my class if I tell you, hey man, you're gonna get in some spots. And for me, backing up is the most important thing to maneuvering a truck. Not keeping it in a straight line. Backing up is the most important thing in maneuvering a truck. Because if you can back your way out, you damn sure can pull your way through. So you got to be able to maneuver that truck backwards. Let's move on.
So that means there is no minimum that the school has to be. So it doesn't have to be 40 hours at least or something like that. The basically is if you are really smart or you actually did your due diligence and you studied really hard, all you essentially have to do is zoom through the class and prove it that you take all the tests, right? So if you pass all of the tests, then you'll be good. So you could really study in advance and just be better prepared. The second thing is there is right here, there is no minimum requirement for instruction hours for behind the wheel training. So there's no minimum for education and there's no minimum for behind the wheel training. Now the next logical question is probably, hey, do we have to do this in class or online? And I think after COVID, we learned that we can't force everybody to be in class because that's obviously not good. However, under the definitions, just to prove it, right, under definitions, it's 380.605. You can see right here, it says theory instruction, right? This is what it means. This is what the definition of theory instruction is, and that is knowledge instruction on the operation of a commercial motor vehicle and related matters provided by a theory instructor through lectures, demonstrations, audio-visual presentations, computer-based instruction, driver simulation devices, online training, or similar means, okay? So that means for the theory section.
So basically what has happened with this is pretty much the same way I do, pretty much the way our academy ran since COVID. You go in and you teach through visual, audio. You do recordings, upload them to the modules. You give your students access to the modules so they can always go back and refer. And then you have Zoom calls where you actually walk through, teach from whatever curriculum, the book that you're using to teach a student. That's what it is. Because of COVID, if you haven't as a teacher, as an academy, as a school, as a training facility, if you did not set up something to where you can teach your students from your office or from your home, just like they did with the school system, you failed your business, you failed yourself, and you failed the student, because people still need to learn. You still need to be able to teach. And Zoom and all the rest of these meeting places, meeting spaces on the computer, there's no way, there's no reason for you not to be able to teach your student, unless your student didn't have the things they needed in order to do it. That's basically what he's saying. So it's all about doing a combination of things when it comes down to teaching. You don't have to be in class every day is basically what it's saying. I can teach you through Zoom. I can teach you through whatever means I can. And then you can go get your CLP if you're efficient and you can do it. And you can learn that way. Some people don't learn that way. Some people have to come into the building. Some people have to come into the building. And that's fine. But don't stop those who can learn the way that this pandemic pushed us to teach. We're not going to stop teaching just because you can't. So let's finish this.
You could more than likely do it online, and then if that class offers to do the behind the wheel training, you then might have to fly in for the behind the wheel training, and that's it. So that would be a way a class could minimize the cost, is by offer everything online with testing, and if everybody and the people that pass, then you just have to schedule a time. You fly into wherever their location is, and you then just finish it, the behind the wheel training right there on the spot.
So that's basically the whole gist of the ELDT. What's coming up for February of 2022. Those are the things that's coming up. That's the biggest thing I wanted to get out to you guys today was, man, go in, get yourself prepared. I don't care where you go, what you do, how you do it, man. Start getting your CDL now. If you're going to get it, you need to go now, because I guarantee you when January hit, maybe even December, you still have to make an appointment to go into these DMVs. These places are probably going to get packed because people are not paying attention, and they're going in late. I bring you news you can use. I'm bringing you something that, hey, I can use that. It's all good. It's all good. I'm bringing you news you can use. Can I get a hand clap? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, man, if you have any more questions about that, man, hit me up. I have the law right here in front of me. I'll email it to you. I can even give you the gentleman that you heard. He can go in and you can go look at his YouTube and get an understanding of it. All of that kind of stuff, bro. So that was my portion of transportation for the night. Real quick, we're gonna go through some of the news that I found on here. I seen something where it says the CB radio. Is that it? Do you prefer a CB radio versus a cell phone? I don't even know where they got that from. A CB versus a cell phone. That ain't even none of that ain't even that doesn't even that's not even anything for us to discuss because I take a cell phone over CB all day long. All the CB gonna do is make you mad. You know what I'm saying? All it's gonna do is make you mad. So when you go on the CB, you can't call home on the CB. It don't reach that far. You can't talk to your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, somebody you trying to date on the CB. Not unless they're in another truck rolling behind you. And I think the best CB reaches up to what 2.5 miles without starting to go staticky. It's cool when you running a convoy or if you and your partner running down the road and y'all running together and he run off and leave you and he see something up ahead where you can get off because there's been a bad wreck and now he letting you know and you can get off and go around that stuff. But it ain't good if you trying to stay in contact with your family. So now I'm a cell phone guy when it come to that, being on that road. Yeah, I'm a cell phone guy. Let me tackle this real quick. Let's see what this says. It says truckers strongly dislike the idea of driver facing cameras in their cabs. It was a simple question, but one that triggered a strong response from truckers news readers. Very strong. We recently asked, how do you feel about inward-facing cameras? 68% with the statement, I would never give up my privacy like that. 24% agreed with I tolerate them, but I don't like them. 5%, it keeps me from being held liable in an accident. That's in agreement with it. 3%, I really don't care either way. And for me, I'm going to just tell you, for me, at first, I was like, I got to this company and they had it, and I spoke on this before. With companies that have those inward and outward facing cameras, I'm going to just say this here. It gives them the opportunity to otherwise hire a driver with a high CSA score versus not hiring that driver if they didn't have it in the truck. Look at it like that. If a company has an inward and an outward facing camera, meaning that they're recording in and out, whereas they wouldn't have been able to hire you, now they can. Because they have devices and safety mechanisms on their trucks that allow them to hire a medium risk driver or even maybe a high risk driver. But I think it's also it gives you but I think it gives you an insurance discount. I'm just saying. So for me, when I got to that company, I was like, oh man, I can't do this. But then my wife said, man, you can do anything. That ain't nothing. I don't have to talk to you on the road. It ain't like you driving over the road. You in the city. You in the city. And I don't think they have them for drivers over the road because they know drivers need to. But I think they have a rule when they put them in over the road. Over the road is the exception, I think, because now I don't want cameras facing in my truck while I'm trying to sleep. Any of that. So I think over the road drivers is basically a no. And then if you are over the road, it should be a rule where once I stop moving my vehicle and I logged off for the day, or for my 10-hour rest, 8-hour rest, 2-hour rest, whatever it is, the inside camera should be shut off. And then there should be a rule where, hey, you can talk on the phone, but I better not catch you with that phone in your hand. You can have earbuds, you can have a wireless, but when I catch you with that phone in your hand, it's a problem. Don't have the phone in your hand. I understand that. And even with the company I was at, that was the rule too. You can't even be talking on the phone. You can't be even talking on the phone. But guess what? They can't see the left ear. They can see the right, but they can't see the left. So I had earbuds in the left. Not that I needed to talk to anybody. Sometimes drivers call other drivers who work at night. While y'all driving down the road, y'all help each other, get to that next point. It might be a driver somewhere at night that they're having a problem, and you can walk him through it while you're driving. Or whatever the case may be, he can walk you through it. But is it a yay or a nay for me if I take a job with or without it? Nah, I take a job with a camera facing on the inside. But it's hard to change the culture of a company that wants to put it in there and you haven't had it for 50, 30, 20 years. It's hard to change that culture. But I know one thing for sure. When a company say, this is going to save me $1 billion, $1 million, so many hundreds of thousands of dollars in insurance payments, guess what? They wouldn't give a damn if you liked it or not. You either deal with it or you don't. And you know what that means. Deuces. We'll holler at it. We'll holler at you. And I think that's what I think a lot of people get misunderstood is that, man, this is Charles, I just seen that, bro. Yeah, you can get my email. Hold on real quick. Let me do something right quick. Hold on, Charles. I got you. Hold on, Charles. When you do that, man, you fail to realize that companies don't have to have you. Companies don't have to have you there at their job, cause once they make a decision, that's it. Once they make a decision, there you go, Charles. I just put it in the comments. There you go. Once they make a decision, that's it. That's it. Bro, I don't care if you've been there 30 years. If you can't change with the culture, hey man, go find you something else to do. Companies not trying to hear that if it's saving them money. If it's saving them money, they're not trying to. No problem, man. Anytime. If it's saving you money, it ain't. If it's saving them money, it don't matter. It does not matter. Now, on to today's festivities, real quick. I got 10 minutes. Sunday football. Man, I did not think that I didn't think Matt Jones was gonna perform like that. Even though he threw some interceptions, Dallas, I don't know what. I thought their defense was gonna be a lot more smoother than what it was. But overall, it was a good game. It was a good game. And how many of y'all thought that Iowa was going to stay at number 2? They got trampled by Purdue. Now, I'm going to just say this here. Purdue, even though they don't be having a huge ranking, Purdue ain't no punk. And Iowa found that out yesterday. Number 2, Iowa falls. They'll be out of the top 5. Alabama back up in the playoff, top 14. They won't lose again. Alabama won't lose again. Oklahoma, now that they switched quarterbacks, I think Oklahoma gonna be on the move if they run into a high-powered offense. Their defense has been suspect for at least 3 years. It's been suspect for 3 years. So I don't think they're gonna. And let me tell y'all what happened. Trayvon Diggs, man, that dude there, he been showing out since the season started. He got a pick 6. He picked Mac Jones off, ran it in for a touchdown. Then turned around, and I think they were in cover 2, or they were in man matchup zone. So Trayvon was holding the cat, and he had him one-on-one as long as he was on that island, on the outside island. But once he made that move to the inside, Trayvon kind of let up because he knew that free safety was supposed to be coming over the top. And the free safety didn't make a play on the ball. He tried to, I don't know what he was thinking, but he ran past the receiver, and the receiver caught the pass, and boom. I think there was an 85-yard touchdown pass. But Matt Jones made it a competition. Matt Jones made it a competition, man. They made it a competition. All the rest of the games, the other games, the Raiders, all of that, man. The Raiders trying to still hold on after this John Gruden. I think they'll be like, okay. I think they pretty much just kind of doing their thing again. I think they kind of not giving up on the season. But if hold on right quick. Let me see. If they don't go to the playoffs, I don't think they'll be mad because of everything they went through this year. I think they were they were really hoping that the Raiders would make a move this year. I think they were really hoping the Raiders make a move this year, but I think that huge distraction with John Gruden, I think they kind of like, okay, all right, but they professional, so they gonna try to bring it together. So now you got Pittsburgh and Steelers. They're the Sunday night game. Russell Russell Wilson's out. They got Geno Smith in at quarterback. And I didn't even know he was still in the league. Cause he done some stuff in that Jets locker room that a lot of locker rooms don't accept you in. But I think with Russell Wilson with that thumb, I think that it may be a chance for him to kind of show he still got an arm on him. Especially with I think this might be Big Ben's last year. I don't think Dwayne Haskett's going to get a chance over there. I think they're going to go with Mason Rudolph. But other than that, I don't think that's going to go down. Tua Tagovailoa, I can't pronounce his name. He came back. I think he had a pretty decent game. 329 yards. They lost by a field goal. Miami did. So I think he may be all right. And then that Thursday night game with the with Philly and man, I watch my home team. I watch the guys who come. Jalen Hurts, he out of Channel View, man. I've always rooted for him all the way through Miami, all the way into the pros. I'm still rooting for him because he's hometown. You got DJ Armstrong over there with the Cowboys playing defensive end. I root for him. I think he's hurt right now, but I'm hoping he come on back because I know he got it. And so I just root for hometown. I do. I root for hometown. I don't root for the Texans. Nope. I don't root for the Texans. I haven't. I like players. My team is the Steelers, but I like players. And, until somebody tell me, what I'm saying, you're absolutely guilty of what people and I know how dirty that upper echelon can be. I can just imagine. Sometimes you're down here on this lower level and people ask you to do stuff that is not right. And then whatever it is they have over your head, they'll be like, okay, if you don't do it, I am going to expose you. And you don't even need to be on that high level. Just imagine if it happened on a lower level. Just imagine what's going on that higher level. That's crazy. So at the end of the day, man, I root for players just like, D. Hopkins. I rooted for J.J. Watt. I rooted for Deshaun. I rooted for Andre Johnson. When they was on the team, I rooted for the players, not really the team. And the Texans, my home team ain't doing nothing. So, but man, hey, listen, bro, I have talked to you guys long enough. Next week we have I have an interview next week. Yes. Y'all don't get to hear me talk so much next week. I have an interview with a young man. And he comes by way of Mr. Stephen Butler, who is my special guest on the podcast. He comes in by way of Mr. Butler, and we will be interviewing this young cat. His name, let me get his name right. Let me see. I don't know his last name, but his name is Kyle. Man, this young man is doing something really, really big. He owns his own truck. He also does a little bit of day option trading. He's into Bitcoin, and he pretty much is doing everything that my wife is doing. And so at the end of the day, man, I am going to interview this young man by way of Steve. Stephen Butler, my special guest on the podcast. And man, I am so excited. I am so excited to have that young man come in and talk and tell us what he has going on, so that way he can kind of give us some pointers and give us some insight into everything that he has going on, and that what he's going to be doing, and also with what made him get into transportation and all of that type of stuff. So man, please make sure you guys, check in next week with us, because we will be interviewing the young man on next Sunday at 6:00. And so I just want to say, man, you guys be safe. Keep that left door closed. Get home the way you left, because if you get home the way you left, that means that nobody got hurt. Hey man, this has been James Roberts, aka Solo Driver. Thank you, Charles, again for tuning in, man. You stayed, bro. You down. You stayed the whole podcast and just listened to me ramble. You could have came in. You should have told me you wanted to come in. You could have came in and we could have talked, and we could have just went back and forth. I don't know if you was in the position to do that, but man, I thank you for listening in. Hey man, this has been another edition of the Freight Trapping Podcast. I have been your host, Mr. James Roberts. Hey man, you guys have a good night.